Listen, the best thing that could happen for LaMelo Ball, you could say for all three of those, is to end up in Golden State because of the organization. But, how does LaMelo deal with having to wait his turn and learn from Steph, which is, again, the best thing that could happen to LaMelo, right, is to be tutored by Steph. But ultimately, does he have enough patience to be able to wait his turn for a year or two, before Daddy Ball starts crying and complaining and yelling and screaming that his kid should be playing ahead of Steph? That's what he would probably do.
It's probably what would happen at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. If I was Golden State, I'd probably try to move down. Again, like if I'm Golden State, I'm just moving this. Like if I get number one, I'm moving it. Be it in a trade out, a trade down, whatever you want to do, right? I'd be doing something along those lines. The guy that makes sense to me for them is Obi Toppin a lot as well. I just kind of talked a lot about Aaron Gordon as being a guy that could really help Golden State. Obi Toppin would fit really well with Draymond Green on the offensive end. He's a play finisher, not really a play creator. So he would fit within the scheme of that offense in a similar way to what Matt just talked about in terms of being able to run that, 1-4, 1-5 high pick and roll with Draymond where Steph's initiating the set, team splits Steph, he's throwing to Draymond for the 4-on-3, right, and trying to take advantage of that. Like Obi would be a murderer in terms of being a play finisher in sets like that.
Yeah, I think Obi would be good. I think Onyeka would be really good for Golden State and fill a need. If you could, again, you trade down a couple spots. I just think this number one pick could be an NBA GM killer for the wrong guy. Bob Myers, fine. Obviously, he screws it up. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. But if you're Kobe Altman in Cleveland, do you really want the number one pick? The last guy who did this, it cost him his job, which was Chris Grant. So if you're Kobe Altman, I think you'd be happier with 2 or 3 than 1. Like, I can't wait to see the facial expressions of whoever gets the number one pick, whoever that GM is. Are they smiling? Put him next to David Griffin from a year ago, that picture, right, and the guy who gets it this year. And is it that fake, phony smile, the one we saw when Philly took Jahlil Okafor years ago in the NBA draft, and Jahlil just put on the best face he could, but you could tell he wasn't happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, with Golden State, with Obi Toppin offensively, I love it. It would be a big commitment to playing a lot of small ball, which I know they do put a lot of lineups out there, but they've always had, a big center too. I mean, Andrew Bogut, Zaza Pachulia, Javale McGee.
Kerr loves it for sure.
And so, I mean, Obi, it would be an exciting team, dynamic team offensively, but it would be a big commitment to playing the modern, small ball.
So, all right, where are we if Cleveland or Minnesota, the other two teams with 14% chance of getting number one, where are we with those two if they get the number one pick, Sam? Are you sticking with your LaMelo no matter what, or do you think it's going to depend on a certain team?
Look, I have LaMelo in a tier by himself in this class in terms of talent. Yeah, I do. I think he is the absolute best upside player in this class. I totally get it with Anthony Edwards. If you want to make that case, Matt, I'm sure you would. It's a reasonable take, I think. But LaMelo's ability to make plays for others and pick and roll, it's just tailor-made for the way the game is going right now. Like, we can talk about Georgia not having a ton of space and teams shooting 29% from 3, or Georgia shooting 29% from 3 around Anthony Edwards. But, Severe Wheeler had driving lanes this year and figured out how to get in and out of the paint. Anthony Edwards was happy to settle for step backs. He was happy to not attack. We saw some instances where he did, and he was incredibly successful. Like going back to the South Carolina game where he dropped 30-plus points. I think it was like their 5th to last game of the year. It was unbelievable. But he needs to be willing to take the game on the way that LaMelo already does. You don't have to teach him how to do that. In the case of Minnesota and Cleveland.
Wasn't Edwards, Sam, didn't you feel like Crean played Edwards out of position half the year anyway? I mean, tried to play him at the point. He's not a point. He should have played Wheeler at the point, straight point, and let Anthony Edwards be what he is, which is an attacking wing.
I don't really know that was Tom's fault necessarily, though. Anthony Edwards wants the ball in his hands. Like at every single level, Anthony Edwards has had the ball in his hands. I think that someone like him, even if you initiate the set with Severe Wheeler, you're dishing it off to Edwards for a second side ball screen in all likelihood, and he's going to take over the offense anyway at 17 seconds left on the shot clock. So I don't know. Like, I actually think Crean did a pretty good job this year of creating different opportunities. Like, he throughout different games of the season, he ran a bunch of like 2-3 ball screens, 2-1 ball screens to try and get him space. 10 of their 11 players this year that were in their rotation at one time or another took double-digit 3-point attempts. Like, their offense was pretty well spaced. It's just that teams only, respected a few of those guys as shooters. It wasn't like North Carolina with Cole Anthony, right? Like, the 3-2 motion offense with North Carolina, like, that's not going to go well. They don't really run a ton of pick and roll for a guy like Cole Anthony. So I don't know. Like, I totally get it with the upside with Anthony Edwards, the physical talent, the step back shooting ability, the ability to create his own shot. But I'm a little bit worried about Anthony Edwards.
All right, so let's go there, Matt. Let's go there. I'm worried about Anthony Edwards too, and not just because of the 40% field goal shooting and the 30% 3-point shooting last year. Let's get into it. I mean, we talked about NBA
Sam,
guys.
I agree. I agree with everything Sam's saying. I mean, the kid has major flaws that need to be addressed. He plays, stereotypical AAU ball. I mean, it's one-on-one ball. All these step back jumpers, contested shots. His shot selection, his decision making, his lack of discipline on the defensive end. I mean, there are major concerns, and I think he's going to be able to address most of them or all of them, at least to a certain extent. But he still has to do it, which kind of creates a lot of risk if you're a GM, if you're Kobe Altman, And the other issue with Cleveland, he's in a tough spot because the last 2 years he's used high lottery picks on guards, and if he were to take another ball dominant guard, he's kind of admitting he didn't get those picks right, and it's pretty early on in those guys' careers to kind of bail on them, and it's a tough spot. I have them taking Anthony Edwards now at number 2 in our mock draft. I never feel that good with the Cleveland pick on our mock drafts. I struggle with each time. I call our guys and like, what do you think? And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Cleveland does. They're a wild card pick for me.
No, I'm totally with you, Matt. I think that if they end up with a top 3 pick, it's going to get really tricky. Like, I kind of think that Denny Avdia makes the most sense for them, but I don't know.
Right away. He can help them right away. That's the thing.
But I don't know if I'm taking Denny with a top 3 pick. Right, like, it's a tough sell for me. But I totally get it. Like, I'd even talk about the defensive end with Anthony Edwards. Like, we can just say that dude did not give a fuck this year defensively. Right. Like, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's just
we haven't even talked.
Be honest.
Here's the part that we haven't even talked about. When you talk to enough NBA guys, the off-the-court red flags that come with Anthony Edwards. And we won't go into the details, but there are enough red flags and concerns from NBA guys. Are there more when you talk to them about Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball? Well, who are they more worried about off the court? I would say from when I talk to guys, it's more about Anthony Edwards.
Well, I would agree say,
with you for what it's worth.
The Atlanta Hawks, a lot of people are saying that he needs to stay in the hometown. Yeah. I think behind closed doors, the conversation is, no, he needs to get the heck out of town. And so, I'm not going to go deeper on that, but I hope the Hawks don't take him. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. And with LaMelo, I mean, I think the concerns are there too. They're very different. I think all of, LeVar's theatrics, I don't think that's that big of an issue. I personally am concerned with the entitlement that he's instilled in his kids. With LaMelo specifically, it's hard to be a pro. It's hard to get over the hump, and coming in with an entitlement, it makes things harder. And so that does concern. I'm concerned with both kids, to be honest.